back on the Sportsmax Zone on your home of champions. Now, the Boston Celtics, they won the NBA championship for the 18th time, making them the most successful franchise. The Celtics defeated the Dallas Mavericks 106-88 to secure a 4-1 series win and the Larry O'Brien Trophy. The Celtics, who are winning only their second title in the last 37 seasons, have now surpassed the LA Lakers, who have 17 titles. Finals MVP Jaylen Brown spoke on what the championship means to the city of Boston.
I think we learned from all our mistakes, all of our adversity. I think it's made us stronger, made us tougher. And all season you can see it. You know, we started from the jump. We made all the sacrifices. We played both ends of the ball at a high level. We didn't skip any steps. And this was the result. But all of those experiences led to here. Like all of those moments where we came up short. We felt like we let the city down. We felt like we let ourselves down. All of that compiled is how we get to this moment. So, you know, and it makes it feel even that much better that we had to go through all the journey, the heartbreak, the embarrassment, the loss to get to the mountaintop. So it's great. And shout out to all the supporters and the city of Boston.
And the Dallas Mavericks star Kyrie Irving sees his team's appearance in the finals as encouragement.
Positive note that we can take from this series, just how far we made it, and you know how proud of it I am of the guys, and you know we answered a lot of questions this year on what we were capable of doing, and now it's just about being consistent. I think, you know, probably in the last week I said that, you know, I wanted to be remembered as one of the best teams of this era. You know, the last few champions have been a new one each and every year. So I see an opportunity for us to really build our future in a positive manner where, you know, this is almost like a regular thing for us, and we're competing for championships. And
with us now to break down the finals is our NBA analyst, Alister Albert. And Alister, welcome to the Zone once again. Gosh, wasn't it anticlimactic in the end in terms of how one-sided the series won? 4-1, the final score. We've seen teams in this playoff series just picking off particular teams, you know, teams that they can possibly dismiss quickly. And the same has taken place in this series in the NBA Finals. I mean, what do you make of Boston's championship run and them in the end lifting the trophy?
They're champions. That's what I think of it. And I think a lot of people are trying to make that analysis and trying to really dig deep into it and try to assess, you know, their path to the finals and, you know, was it the weakest path ever and all of that. The whole point is they won the championship. And I think big respect due to them for being able to do that. But yeah, obviously they faced some teams who had some injury issues. And one thing most champions will say is that it's not just about how they play. Sometimes you need a stroke of luck to be able to win and kind of, you know, capture that trophy at the end. And, you know, the luck fell right there for them. The luck of the Irish, as I suppose they'll call it in Boston, you know, getting the lucky draws where, you know, Miami, Indiana, and all these teams had their issues. But coming against a Dallas squad, you know, in these finals, you know, they faced a different challenge where injuries were not necessarily an issue with them. The injuries were more on their side, with Kristaps Porzingis not being there for games 3 and 4, I believe. But you know, he you know, they were able to kind of control the pace of that game and use their defensive versatility to stymie and hinder Luka Doncic, but more so particularly Kyrie Irving, who was not able to be as explosive as one would expect. So I think, you know, their run was outstanding. I think they showed every single facet of their game that we saw through the regular season. Their shooting ability, their ability to make moves off the dribble, set plays, their defense and everything, and that culminated in them winning their 18th banner. And, you know, regardless of how they got to that, you know, it's, you know, high praise to them.
We've seen a couple of transformations in the playoffs and in the finals in particular, and I must highlight Jaylen Brown for what he has done. Of course, he would have come off massive disappointment a couple of seasons ago. Jayson Tatum would have not been himself, would have been injured a couple of seasons ago as well, and he couldn't take up the mantle, in his own words, and he was disappointed that he couldn't lead Boston across the line. Now, in the end, finals MVP, much deserved because of his improvement this year.
outstanding performance from Jaylen Brown, and I think everyone was still on a bit of a knife edge, waiting to see who the decision was going to be for Finals MVP. And him getting called by Adam Silver at that point, I think there was a little bit of shock there because most people thought it might have gone to Jayson Tatum, but Jaylen Brown stepped up in critical parts of this series, where Jayson Tatum wasn't able to offensively carry the team as you would normally expect him to, and it's just awesome that he was able to get that award, getting the Larry Bird Trophy for the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and of course this Bill Russell's trophy, MVP Finals MVP trophy as well, to kind of add to that mantelpiece. But it's great for him because there's always been this discussion about who's better and trying to pit these guys against each other. But he was able to just do what he needed for the team, and that's what kind of resulted in him, winning this trophy, and being the edgier player that they probably needed him to be in these finals. Going to the zone really aggressively, playing the defense on Luka 94 feet full court, and doing everything that was needed of him. And for me, what it really did was really validate his contract, because I think a lot of people at the start of the season were like $304 million for Jaylen Brown, the richest contract in NBA history. Is he actually worth it? He's not the leader of this team, but what he did this run, I think, absolutely validated, and I think it's just the perfect cherry on top of the icing of the cake for him in being able to prove that he's worth every bit of the money that he got there last off season.
It's said in football that defense wins championship. I suggest can be said the same thing can be said of NBA basketball, because I've noticed Boston these last 3 seasons, and they've emphasized so much on what many have called like the 90s style defensive displays that we would have seen back then. But again, it was a matter of them stifling Dallas Mavericks in these finals.
That's it. 4 of the 5 games they were able to hold Dallas under 100 points. That's impressive in itself, considering, the personnel that Dallas employs, especially with Luka and Kyrie. These guys could go off for 50 to 60 points on any given night between them. So we saw that in game 5, I think, of the Western Conference Finals against Minnesota, where the both of them put up 36 points. And, we know that's within their capabilities. Luka himself, despite, the struggles, still averaged 29 points in this series. Kyrie, of course, is a little under what you expect with just 19.8. But they were able to kind of do what they needed to do. But the Boston Celtics were able to just employ the length that they have, the versatility. Every single person within that first team, that starting 5 unit, have all defense capabilities, and that was just overwhelming for the Dallas Mavericks, I suppose. And that's what kind of really just kept them from being able to do any further than they were able to do offensively. Just hats off for these guys remaining disciplined defensively and just showing that all the way through these finals.
Yeah, Alister, a couple of Boston fans said to me last night, and they would know their team better than I do, that they sensed a bit of disappointment in the body language of Tatum, that he wasn't the finals MVP. Did you see that?
So I noticed that was being highlighted and singled out in a couple of social media posts as well. No one specifically friends or Boston Celtics fans necessarily said that, but I saw it on social media. And I think that's people reaching a bit too much. These guys, have made it very clear, they're just happy to sacrifice with each other. You saw all the hugs, all the handshakes, the hugs and everything that, they did to show, their camaraderie and their commitment to the team and each other to kind of get them to where they need to. But I didn't really see anything in that moment that suggested that he was overly disappointed. Yes, he clapped for a little bit and then he put down his head for a few seconds. But that's just body movement and everything just being overwhelmed by the moment, I suppose. I honestly and genuinely believe that he was truly happy for Jaylen Brown. Yes, he led the team in all the offensive categories or counting stats for this team, but he knows very well he didn't perform as you would expect throughout the whole series, offensively perfect, and Jaylen Brown was the one who kind of carried them. So I think he was just as happy for him, winning that trophy.
Yeah, and Alister, it's not, in the past decade at least, normal for regular season champions to go on to win the whole thing. I don't think any team had done that since the Warriors in 2017. And I think the Warriors did it back a year or two before that as the only two teams in the last 10 years to have won the regular season and kept their form going to go all the way. Does this say anything about the Celtics and what they have been able to achieve this year, the entire body of work that they have been able to achieve?
I think it definitely does. And what it does is definitely highlights front office decisions and moves by Brad Stevens, being able to put this team together. Drew Holiday, of course, coming from that trade that they got from Portland when he was moved from Milwaukee. And of course, getting Kristaps Porzingis from the Washington Wizards last season. These moves complemented the team. And of course, Derek White as well. These were just perfectly complementary players to Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, and it just allowed them to just meld into the complementary, juggernaut that they became throughout this whole season. And what we see quite often in the NBA is, a lot of this, it's been said, it's a bit of a copycat league. And, the last couple of few years gone by, it's been trying to, get a big three. We saw what Phoenix did this season with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, and that, failed spectacularly. I think now you're going to see teams really concentrate on, doing a lot of perfect drafting for their teams and just trying to build complementary pieces and trying to just go about it in a very organic way, not trying to rush, the whole system in trying to win championships. These guys, went through the turmoil of 6 to 7 years to finally become champions. Some teams might not have that patience because of luxury tax issues and whatever it is, but I think it shows that patience is really a virtue, and that's what could actually take you to the promised land if you kind of just stick with it and have the personnel to do that as well.
Alister, thanks so much for your insight on these finals, and we'll catch up again soon, all right?
No problem, guys. See you later.
Alister Albert, your NBA in-house analyst. You're a Boston fan?
No, I'm not.
Who do you support?
I don't really have an NBA team, really.
Really?
No.
Oh.
But I had the Golden State Warriors for the better part of this past decade.
So hold on, even the 90s, you didn't follow like a Chicago Bulls or nothing like that?
Well, that's the past. You asked me who is my team now.
Oh, so you're not, okay, all right. I did ask. You know what, we'll take a break, back with more after this.